This is a Stereoforest production from stereoforest.com. Information, resources, and opportunities to support the show and connect with others are available at stereoforest.com/dailyreconnect. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you have specific mental health concerns, please consult with a qualified healthcare professional. Now, on to the show. In this episode, we will do an exercise that helps you reconnect while reflecting on your core values, and then we'll discuss some reasons why we feel isolated while struggling. Welcome to the Daily Reconnect. It's March 17th, and I'm your host, deHaan. This brief session aims to help you connect with the present moment when feeling disconnected or adrift from your surroundings. Together, we'll rediscover and reconnect with our place in this beautiful, wild, distressing, fascinating reality. After we complete this practice, we'll hopefully gather the strength or just the willingness to face our day. Take the elements that resonate during this exercise and feel free to adjust or leave behind anything that doesn't work for you. This is your time to focus and reset. Then you'll hear some encouraging words to help you align your actions with these values throughout your day. This week's episodes offer exercises that can help in particular with an inundation of news, something that might affect us even during less stressful times. The exercise today helps you reconnect with your fundamental principles during times of news overwhelm. It can provide some steadiness in the face of this onslaught by helping you navigate information while being able to return to your core values to remind you who you are and how to proceed. So find a comfortable position or a comfortable walking pace and take several deep breaths as we get started. As you begin to regulate your breathing, allow yourself to become curious about what matters most to you beyond your daily concerns. Think of a moment when you felt truly aligned with your authentic self. This might be a time when your actions reflected what you deeply believe in. Perhaps it was standing up for someone, creating something meaningful, connecting deeply with others, or pursuing knowledge. Notice how your body feels as you recall this memory of living or acting aligned with those values. Now begin to identify specific core values that guide your life. It might be a pattern, it might be something you keep coming back to, or perhaps it's something related to your work or a lifelong hobby. These values might include compassion or truth, justice, your family, creativity, learning, your community around you. There's no right or wrong set of values, only what genuinely matters to you. And now, if you can, visualize those values as signposts that surround you. Or you might visualize a compass or a map if that's easier, or just acknowledge them if visualizations are not available to you. Now choose one value that feels particularly important to you right now, one that might help you navigate your current challenges. Imagine this value as more prominent in your visualization. A bigger sign, it might be glowing, perhaps it's a mark on the map, and allow this value to fill your awareness. Now consider how this core value might guide your response to overwhelming information this week. Could you return to this when encountering fear or anger-inducing headlines or some form of disinformation? In confusing, unpredictable times or situations that may lead you to want to give up, could returning to this value help balance emotions that are not useful to you in the moment? So now take some deep breaths as we end our exercise. Return your awareness to the present time. And I want to acknowledge something that many of us feel quite deeply. In this struggle against oppressive systems, we quite often feel profoundly alone and isolated. And this isolation, it really isn't an accident. The systems around us of capitalism and fascism are designed to fragment us apart, to make our struggles feel individual rather than collective. Really, to convince us that our pain is a personal failure rather than a problem of the system. When you can't make rent, even though you work full-time, or when healthcare remains out of your reach because of cost or access issues, or both of those things, when your community faces targeted harassment, these experiences are deliberately structured to make them feel like they're just your burden alone. And the message that we receive is quite clear. You're on your own, and figure it out by yourself. This isolation is made worse because of the physical and digital parts of our life. Neighborhoods are not all that walkable for so many of us. They're designed that way. They're designed without community in mind, or our third spaces. Those are pretty much completely gone now. Online algorithms that amplify this division. Workplaces, they discourage unions, and the constant grind means that we don't really have a lot of time for connection as it is. But I want you to know that recognizing that, acknowledging this isolation, naming it and seeing it, that's an act of resistance. And just doing that starts the process of weakening the powers that are making us so isolated, by discussing it with others, by identifying it with somebody else, even more so. So take a moment and recognize that so many other people around you are experiencing the same kind of struggles, the same kind of doubts. They have similar moments of despair, not because there's something wrong with you or them or any of us, but because these systems are functioning just as they were designed to do. Unfortunately, your isolation, that isn't a personal feeling of yours, but it was a structural, like an obstacle that was placed into your path, really with intention, with forethought, by somebody else to benefit them, not you. Now, recognizing this isn't going to immediately transform your circumstances, what's happening right now, of course it won't, but it shifts something essential in how we might relate to these feelings, to relate to this isolation. It places your experience, it places that loneliness in a much larger context. And that opens the possibility of connection, even when physical proximity might not be accessible or might not be possible for some of us. There are other ways. But remember that throughout history, the very first step in all of these movements for justice, movements for change, it was when humans recognized that their individual suffering was connected to a much larger system, to a larger design or plan. Before collective action, before mass movements even came about, there was this moment of clarity that this thing, it isn't just happening to me. It's happening to all of us. And in this case, it's not really a left versus right, but more a top versus bottom. So you're not alone in what you're experiencing, even when everything might make it feel that way. And in the next episode, we'll explore how to maintain your strength and your dignity when the systems are designed to break it. Your struggles, they're shared by many people, and this shared experience, even when we might be physically distant from each other, it contains the beginnings of real connection and real possibility. And remember that the world is better due to your presence within it. So that's it for today, March 17th. Thank you so much for joining me in this brief episode, and let's connect again on Wednesday. Thank you for listening to the Daily Reconnect. Episodes are released on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday every week. This show was created, written, hosted, edited, and produced by deHaan. Links to contact information, ways to support the show, transcripts, the free newsletter, and our community Discord can be found in the show notes. This is a Stereo Forest production.